Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday afternoon. I'm getting used to this because I've been here at the same place every Wednesday for the last couple of Wednesdays. So nice to see some familiar names coming in. I'll just give it a couple of minutes while we have people coming in from the queue to join us for today's Ask Me or Ask Mongoose anything. We are focusing on boosting student success, which makes sense as we head into the fall semester. So I actually have a special guest star, Jake Evans, and then KJ is joining me as well so that he can share a little bit more about his experience with ed tech, his experience with boosting student success. Maybe we can talk about high school biology too, from your wife's perspective, KJ.
Absolutely.
Okay, so any questions related to any of those topics or to boosting student success, we can handle those for you. So on that note, if you have a question that you'd like to contribute, please feel free to use the webinar chat or use the Q&A panel. We will be eyeing both of them. We're happy to take them live, and if we don't get a chance to get to your questions, then we will follow up with you and make sure that we can get you an answer after the live session. So it looks like we still have a couple people flowing in, but I know that these sessions are pretty active and engaging, so I don't want to hold us up any longer. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'd like to do, KJ, can you just do a quick introduction, share a little about your background, how long you've been here at Mongoose, and then Jake, I'll have you do the same thing.
Sure. So my name is KJ Moses. I reside in Southwest Florida. My background really started on the campus of the University of Miami because my dad was a college dean. So like right away, born into higher ed. Then one of my first jobs out of college was working at Florida Gulf Coast University, the four-year public school right here in Southwest Florida. After being there for a handful of years, I moved over to ed tech, and since then my concentration has been student success, communication, and student outcomes. So really that like is the perfect funnel for what we do right here at Mongoose and with Cadence. And I've been at Mongoose since about the beginning of this year.
It feels like it's been forever, KJ, in a good way.
Oh,
So
is that a compliment?
on another note, Jake, can you tell us more about your background and then also what you do here at Mongoose?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Laura. Happy to be here on the call for the AMA as kind of a surprise last minute guest, but happy to be here to answer any of the product questions. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jake Evans. I'm our product marketing manager here at Mongoose. I've been here in the ed tech space for about 2 years now. I handle all of our product positioning and messaging and really being able to drill down on the value props and how we really bring value to the market and our clients and to really be listening to what everybody has to say, really culminating in kind of where we want to go with the features and the product roadmap, and really working with our product management team to make sure that our clients and prospective clients' voices are heard. So if you do have any specific questions, more or less on the product side, I'm definitely happy to help out. So thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you both for joining me. All right, so I always like to start with this question as I'm weeding through what's coming in as well, because I know that KJ, you specifically are in conversations every day, I would say, with higher ed leaders and with people in different roles across campus. And so I love to tap into that. As a marketing person, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Laura. You might know me from last week and the week before. I'm in marketing. I work very closely with Jake, also with KJ. We really like to tap into that insight that you and your colleagues gain into what's happening on campus. What challenges are our campus partners facing? What celebrations are they having? What best practices are working for them? So maybe KJ, could you just highlight a couple of things that maybe were surprising to you or exciting to you in conversations that you've had with those on campus recently?
Yeah, this is such an exciting time around campus right now. Like everyone's going through orientation, week of welcome. Everyone's really trying to get their students involved, which has really been such a strong pillar of student success for the last 10 years now. So yeah, we're working with a lot of our partners in getting out messages, trying to get students to go to their first year experience programs, trying to get students to go to their expos, to go join clubs and organizations and get involved with intramurals. Because, one of the pillars of student success recently is, make a friend, you make a graduate student, right? You want to have that student build that network around campus. And once they do that, they find people with like interests, with like majors, with things to really make them feel like they belong on that campus. And then from there, that success usually just breeds. right? They want to be able to have their friends around. They want to be able to go to classes with their friends. They want to have a study group. They want to have all of those things. One interesting thing that I did here this week is using text to do a scavenger hunt over orientation, right? So a text is scheduled to go out, and that's prompting the students in their orientation group to either navigate around campus or to navigate a task if you're in a different or a hybrid type program. So really fun time around campus this time of year.
Fun and I'm sure nerve-wracking and also fun. Yes. Jake, I know you've been here. We always joke that you're like the marketing team's Mongoose veteran since you've been here longer than many of us have. What have you seen when it comes to driving the most outcomes, the most impact with working with campuses when it comes to Cadence and the different services that we offer here at Mongoose?
Yeah, so we've really seen a lot of success from our clients that are able to use Cadence throughout the whole campus and throughout the whole student life cycle. Obviously, when Mongoose really first started, we started heavily within the admissions and enrollment space, but we've been expanding a lot into the student success side, the advancement and fundraising side, and then also more recently, we've been exploring some other high-level use cases, more within like athletics and the e-learning space. But really, we've seen our clients that are able to take us and then leverage throughout their campus, and we're able to really see on like the enrollment and admission side that spike in yield and that spike in overall applicants, and really being able to foster those relationships and to move people along in those funnels and in order to get in order to see success on campus and really spike the stats are important to those departments. Um, and then also being able to engage current students on campus, right? Whether that be events, mental health service, athletics activities, certain events, like really being able to connect with them. And then ultimately on the fundraising side too, of being able to just give those nudges. You know, we've seen a lot of good results of what a simple text message will do in order to hit those fundraising goals that I know are always important.
KJ, we're going to add something to that.
I'm just reading through the questions. This is going to be fun.
Okay, all right, good. I was about to go to Sarah's. Thank you, Sarah, for opening up the chat. That's a circle reference, everyone. So Sarah says, I work with an online-only master's program, so our program often gets overlooked by the heavily undergrad-focused messaging and events. I feel like this ties into what you were talking about, Jake. Do you have any tips to engage with grad school and or only online-only students? KJ, let's start with you, and then Jake, I'll tap you to add anything in too.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a great opportunity for a text deployment. One, the incumbency to digital communication and technology is so much higher in the online world, in the online learning world, than it is in the traditional and brick and mortar world. So, already you're starting to have that affinity to the technology. And one of the things that I hear a lot is the way that you can communicate differently, right? So oftentimes we think that text messaging is just pushing messages out, where instead we want to try to elicit a response. So instead of just sending them general reminders and nudges like Jake was talking about, which is great, how about we ask them how they're doing? Ask them questions. Give them to give feedback on something that's happening. We have a feature in our solution that's called a smart message, which is a really simple survey. So you can get a student satisfaction on something. And if you have students that are dissatisfied with something, we have the ability for you to be able to pull out the students that are dissatisfied and communicate with them on a one-to-one basis. So I think this is a great opportunity in an online-only program to get really good two-way communication going because of that incumbency to technology.
All right, Jake, what would you add?
Yeah, Laura, I think I can jump in here. I think the beauty of our product is really that personalization piece. So it doesn't matter who you're going to be reaching out to. You can really make an impact, right? Like the smallest messages can sometimes make the largest impact, and that's really what we've seen. And we have texting templates that are available on our website that you can access that are directly related to the types of students that you will be doing your outreach with. So I can see on the e-learning side, I mean, it really comes down to personalization. You can get as granular as you want with the messages that you want to send out. And I think what KJ was talking about is spot on with the smart messages of really being able to get the sentiment of your students and really figuring out kind of almost letting them lead the conversation, right? Of being able to figure out what their needs are. And you can do that very simply through the tools that we do offer within the product.
And I see that Bill is here in the attendee list listening in. Bill is one of our colleagues. He actually came from campus where he was a creative director, and now he serves as Mongoose's creative director. I've recently done some content with him around engaging the visual generations. And so I feel like that kind of ties into your question too, Sarah, about how you can stand out, how you can communicate with these audiences in ways that they want to communicate, in ways that they are communicating with those who are outside of higher ed as well. And so it makes me think about text messaging with pictures and picture messaging, video messaging, GIFs. That's a whole thing. Like we had like a fight on our boot camp where we were talking about the pronunciation of it. So we'll talk about that in another session. But I think that the picture messaging is probably something that's relevant here too, because it's a great way for you to relate to people in a way that, if you think about the way that you message and engage with people, you're probably having like sending pictures back and forth on Slack, which I know that me and KJ do, or sending messages back and forth with your friends and family on text message as well. And so I'd say something even as small as just working picture messaging in could be really helpful for those online only students who are looking to make those connections and to feel like they're a part of your community and to feel like they're being seen and heard. And so I'd suggest that too. And we actually have some recordings of content where Bill helped walk us all who do not have design backgrounds through how we can basically fake it till we make it. Yes, KJ, hand up.
I don't have a design background. We've talked about that a lot.
Jake has like no design background, but he's got like the design taste on a
I got the eye. I got the eye for it. So
okay, that's a nice way to say it. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's
Sarah.
a nice way. That's a nice way to say it.
I love it. All right. Okay. So, I knew that this question was going to come in because this is such a hot topic. I was actually just on a call with the Chronicle of Higher Education talking about their editorial calendar and webinars that they have coming up that we might potentially be able to participate in. And we were talking about AI. So let's talk about it. The question for you both is AI and Mongoose. My campus is exploring how to react to AI. What does AI look like at Mongoose? So I appreciate that question is very general and that we don't know the exact perspective of the person who is posing it. So we can kind of just address that from all of these different angles that we're thinking about it from. So KJ, does this come up when you're talking to higher ed leaders? And what do you offer when you run into that question?
Yeah, it does. And not only does it come up like out of curiosity, but it also kind of just like comes up like maybe sometimes a little bit out of fear. Right. So, and one of the ways that I like to always talk about it is that AI is a spectrum. Right. And so at the simplest end of the spectrum, you have your digital assistants that do some voice recognition and do some, information fetching for you and things like that. And then, of course, the fearful end is like the iRobot movie, of course. Right. So, where do we fall in that spectrum? And I like to think that, Mongoose, we kind of fall right in the middle. Right. So we want to have enough AI that we're being able to serve students immediately when they can and get them the information they need as quickly as possible. But we also want to be able to provide, as I like to call, an exit ramp, because there's certain things that we know, it's just better handled by a human, right? But I know that there's those 50 to 100 questions that everybody's department gets asked every single day. And that's a great opportunity for AI to do that. And the nice thing about that is AI doesn't call in sick. AI doesn't take vacation. They work 24/7, 365. And what that allows is the humans in your office to be able to be more dynamic with the time that they have with those individual students, because we've kind of taken off the topical questions. And now you're really to get into the nitty gritty with the students and make really good impact.
I'm just thinking of conversations I've had with our founder and president, Dave Marshall, where he talks about how he's so excited for AI and so excited for technology because it opens up more opportunities for human connection, not removing them, but just giving you that opportunity to invest that time and focus and energy into the thing that only you all who are here on the call with us can do, which is build those authentic relationships with your students and with your different stakeholders. So I love that theme, KJ. Jake, what would you add to that answer about AI and Mongoose?
Yeah, for sure. I loved how KJ positioned it, because that's exactly how I like to think about it here at Mongoose, right? I always say that we like to strike the perfect balance between AI and automation and human connection. Because I think a lot of companies are trying to go too far in the direction of AI, right? And especially where relationships matter so much within higher ed, we don't want to go completely off the one edge of the spectrum, right? We want to be able to keep that personal relationship in place. And if somebody does want to talk to an actual person on campus, that they do have that ability. So on the technical side, yes, we do have natural language processing within our chatbots, so people can interact with them. And we do like to boast and say that we do have an 85% self-service rate, which to KJ's point, you're then able to free up your teams on campus to do more important things, and to focus on the things that really matter. But then you're also able to serve your constituents and really get them the answers that they want quickly. But then our chatbots are also smart enough, right? Like they'll know when somebody needs to be brought in. So you will be able to have those live chat functions and features if somebody is available. And then also within the product, if someone isn't available, we do offer follow-up functionality as well. So then you'll be able to follow up with them um, via a text message, a phone call, anything like that, an email. So we do like to always say that we have that personal touch within our AI and our machine learning pieces.
And on that note, so this is another question that has come in a couple of different ways throughout this series, and that's about why Mongoose for texting. And so whenever this comes in, I appreciate it because I know that part of the reason I came here is because Mongoose has been like started this text messaging for higher ed by higher ed, but I know that we're so much more now. And so I love to use this as an opportunity for us to talk about that bigger engagement, that holistic treating and serving the student view. I won't talk about it though. KJ, I'm going to let you talk about it. So why Mongoose? Why are we set apart in the crowded text messaging space? And you have a great perspective on this because of your experience here too. Please.
Yeah, so that there's one thing that I always like to start with, right? There's two things that are happening here. One, you have Mongoose the company, and two, you have Cadence the product. Okay, and I use those terms very intentionally, right? So Cadence the product, first off, like you said, built by higher ed for higher ed, research backed by higher ed, best practices built by 56 million messages sent. I mean, we all know the stats, right? But when you really look down to the nitty gritty and the things that really differentiate Cadence, the platform, is the ability to convert chat traffic to text communications, right? So if a student is just at your website and they just keep hitting it and they can't get that answer, boom, the chatbot's going to pop up. And we're going to be able to collect their information. And maybe we'll get their answer, but maybe we don't get their answer. And if we don't get their answer, we know who they are and we have their text, we have their phone number, and we can have someone text them and follow up. We're not going to let that person fall through the cracks. We're going to help you not let that person fall through the cracks. Okay. So that's one thing that Cadence, the product, can do. Mongoose, the company, is a litany of very experienced people that have been doing this in partnership with those 950 schools. And one of the things, aside from the best practice, aside from helping you not reinvent the wheel, build this from an established set of best practices, is we're also going to make sure that you're compliant. One of the biggest things that's happening right now in the texting world is compliance and registering your numbers and making sure that you have a good trust score and making sure that you're not spamming or snowshoeing. And if all of this stuff is foreign language to you, I'm doing that on purpose. And that's because that's our job, and we take pride in making sure that we give you the ultimate opportunity and flexibility to text any student you want, whenever you want, because you know your students best. So not only are you getting a great product, but you're also getting a team that's going to partner with you to make sure you're going to achieve your outcomes.
I'm in. You sold me, KJ. Jake, would you add anything else to that about the differentiators with Mongoose?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to see, right? You can text with anybody, right? Like when you get us, what you are really getting is that expert piece, right? 60% of the people within Mongoose come from higher ed. So you're really what you're getting with Mongoose is the expertise within the space that you're just not going to get anywhere else. We understand the market. We've been around longer than any other vendor in the space. We are focused heavily on innovation to go even beyond texting right now. So we've expanded into live chat, into chatbot. We've done a significant amount of improvements to our reporting and analytics, so you can see exactly which campaigns are working on your campus. And that's really based on the understanding that we have the market and really what our clients and everybody within higher ed wants to see. and what the most impactful pieces really are, and what's meaningful to them at the end of the day. And we do have other pieces on our product roadmap that we are continually adding to really get a good proof of concept of these innovation pieces, right? We do have our team looking into integrations with ChatGPT, so really being able to focus on that, as well as some pieces where we want to be looking more into sentiment analysis. So really being able to help our clients understand what their constituents, students, parents, alumni, how people are actually feeling through their responses to text messages, and then how we can help improve the KPIs that matter to our clients on campus, really.
Well, there's so much that I want to say. Like, this is the good part about working here, is that I get to see the behind the scenes pieces of like that sentiment analysis and how we can use technology to scale empathy and all these great conversations that we have about where we could take this. And then I'm like, oh, but I want to tell everybody, but later. All right. So the next question that came in is a little related to what we were just talking about, it with that differentiation piece and with all the different alternatives. So this question is, if my CRM is texting for me, do I still need Mongoose? KJ, do you want to start with that? And then Jake will get you to add on.
So one of this is going to be kind of about what your like technology topography looks at on your campus, right? So in general, what I deal with the most is students come in through admissions through the CRM, but then they are passed off to your student information system or your ERP system. So at that point, your students may no longer be in your CRM to have that ability to text. So one, I would look at that workflow, right? Are you continuing to keep those students in the CRM, even though they are now enrolled students? Because once they get pushed, you might lose the capacity to be able to text them. The next thing that I like to talk about, and we have a handful of partners that we work with that work with a CRM and Mongoose together, and that's just to do best of breed. We're never going to say that we're a CRM. We may have a few CRM-like properties, but we are a communications platform. And a CRM is a customer relationship module, right? And they may have a widget that does texting, but all we do is texting. And so when I like to think about this is I like to think about, hey, you have your Swiss Army knife and you have a lot of different tools that you can use. And yeah, you might be able to open the can with the screwdriver, but you're probably going to want to use the can opener. And that's really what I'm here to do. And there's a team of us like that. Bring us into a conversation and let us figure out what are the things that you can and cannot do with your solution. And let's see if we can find those gaps. One of the things that we're finding with the CRMs, going back to the compliance thing that I just talked about, is the CRMs are saying, hey, campuses, compliance is up to you. So now you guys need to learn all of what we need to learn and all of those words that kind of scared you with 5 minutes ago to make sure that you have the ability to text those. So yes, there's an advantage there as far as maybe keeping it all in one solution, but you're definitely going to be missing out on features, functionality, and efficiency.
Yeah, Laura and KJ, I think I would add upon that as well. As I think Slate just doesn't have the incentive to really improve upon their texting features, right? Like we do here. And then also, like you said, that holistic piece to communication, right? So you're really just being pigeonholed into that one piece that probably isn't going to be improved. You don't get the higher ed or the specific expertise and handholding that we will be providing. I mean, typically our clients usually have a team of 4 or 5 people specifically dedicated for them as we moved into our pod structure now, really. So everybody gets a much larger client success team that is specifically focused on them. And I just don't think that you will get with Slate. Now, we do have an integration with Slate, so we do see ourselves as more of a partner. This is not an adversarial relationship by any means. We do have that bi-directional information, so we can bring over all of your information from Cadence into Slate. So we do have that piece that we can address. But I think it just follows the common theme that I've really been pushing this entire time, and it really comes down to the expertise and the client success piece that you're going to get here using Cadence with the Mongoose team.
And speaking of the client success and the pod and the mob and all these acronyms, KJ, do you want to tell us a little bit, since you're currently working with this new setup that we have when it comes to serving our clients?
Yeah, so if you're in the South, you're fortunate enough to have me in the best pod that we have. just slightly better than the rest of them. But I mean, come on, I got to build up my team, right? And there's a team of three of us that work with, I think, 13, 14 states in the South. Like if you're anywhere from like Virginia to me to Texas, you triangulate that, you're mine. And so I'm a senior strategic account manager, which means I do stuff like this. I talk through lots of different things. I talk about strategy. I talk about how we can do deployments. And that's my specific job, to work with our partners to make sure that they're getting the most out of their tool. And that if they have a prescription, if they have pain, I have a prescription for them. Another member of my pod is Mike O'Mara. We call him Mike O. He's awesome. Mike is responsible for kind of day-to-day business, right? If you have a question about your contract or things like that, Mike's going to be there to help you. Mike is currently in like 17 meetings a day doing all of these right now because we just moved to the pod structure. So we're going to love returning to normalcy here in a moment. Then the last member is Jen Dethorn. Jen is a absolute superstar. If you need training, if you need a new inbox spun up, if you need single sign-on, if you need to do that integration with Slate like Jake was talking about, Jen's going to get that knocked out and it's going to work awesome. So, you know, we all have these different roles. And the nice thing is we meet daily. We have conversations about partners daily. And sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, hey, KJ, why don't you go ahead and take this one? Or, hey, Jen, that one's a little bit more for you. But the nice thing is just like you guys set up for your students, a circle of care, we've set up that circle of care for you so that you have the right asset to be able to go to when you need something.
And I'm just going to say there are a couple of people from other pods here on this call. So KJ, watch what you're saying because Luciana might come for you. But I guess the point is that
might be better.
All right. The point is and that's been something that has happened since KJ and I joined this year. We've been just leaning into this great strength that Mongoose has had for the long time that it's been in this market, long time that it's been expanding its footprint and having that great reach, leaning into those strengths and using them, positioning people, adding to the team so that we can better support our clients and better help to drive those outcomes that you all are so focused on driving. And so I love that we got the chance to do that shout out. If you are a current client and you're on the call, I don't see that many of our current clients, but maybe a couple of them. If you haven't heard from your mob yet, you will be. And we're really excited to hear what you think about that new setup and that circle of care that we're providing to you. All right, I have a fun question to end the call possibly, or maybe we have time for one more. Let's see how much time people need to answer this. What is your favorite emoji to use in a text, and how do you keep up with what all of these emojis mean? I love this question. I love when people are coming to us for the emoji insights. Jake, I'm gonna call on you first.
Oh man, I use a lot of emojis. Okay, my favorite emoji to use internally, we have our Mongoose Pop emoji, and I constantly use that one just as like as a thank you, as a I don't know, just a notification. But I think I'm trying to think on one of the previous calls that we had. I think it may have been on the one that our designer Bill had hosted about engaging the visual generation. Because I think this question somewhat came up on the meaning of the emojis, and I think the answer that was given on that call was really good. I think it was if you're unsure, ask some of the younger people within your department because they might know. And they're starting to get away from me. There's a lot of different meanings behind some of the emojis, and I thought that was a clever answer on some of the more like cutting edge or up to date meanings on some of this stuff. But I thought that was a kind of a clever answer.
I mean, that is the reason I had a kid. He's just he's growing slowly, so he's not serving that purpose for me yet. But who knows? Like they'll probably get cell phones soon in his preschool. KJ, I know you've got some good sources living at your house for this.
I have a couple. So first off, like if it's like internal or something and I just want to like give a thumbs up or something, I like this one. So not only is it praise, but I'm also a University of Miami graduate, and that's our hand sign. So that's always going to be my praise sign. So when everybody else is doing thumbs up or muscles or things like that, I'm always this. And then internally, we have this thing that like, hey, if you've read it, put your favorite emoji here. And because I'm the sole Florida representative here, the topic of alligators comes up a lot in our, and if you saw it on LinkedIn, I would be remiss if I didn't say it. The topic of alligators comes up a lot. If you're not a Floridian, for some reason, I guess you're obsessed with alligators. I could see an alligator every day if I wanted to. So if I just need to put just a kind of an inert emoji in, so that people know that I've seen it, Florida boy's seen it, alligators here.
I just want to call out that you as a Floridian did send me a picture of alligator heads. And so it's not all us non-Floridians. You are feeding into it. But okay, we'll take
Floridians
those.
don't buy those. Those are for you guys to take home.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I don't see, I think we're all set. There might be a couple of questions that we didn't get to because we were so focused on these great topics. So thanks again for this engaging conversation, y'all. Thanks for dropping your questions into the chat. Jake, give us just a few seconds on next week's AMA topic, please, and then we will wrap.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. So a little bit of self-promotion here. I will be hosting next week's AMA. I will be joined by John Crusoe, who is our Director of Product Management. And we're going to be talking all things automation. So there was a few things that KJ had brought up. Specifically, we can get into smart messages. And then also on the integration side, if you have any questions regarding our Ellucian, Blackbaud, Workday, Anthology, Salesforce, whatever those integrations may be, bring your questions and we can get them all answered. John is one of the first few employees here at Mongoose. He knows this product better than just about anybody within the company. So he is the perfect person to really answer any of the more technical or in-depth questions that you may have.
And he's an honorary member of Pod 3 since that's the best pod, right, KJ?
We're recruiting.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place, except different Zoom URL, but same Zoom area. So we'll see you then. Have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Thanks.
you.